Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's close enough to 6 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order, and I appreciate people from Northern College coming down and making a presentation tonight. So I'll ask the clerk for the roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members are present with the exception of Councillor Whalen. Thank
you very much. Item 3 is review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Is anybody got anything they need to add or delete from the agenda? Seeing none, I've got a motion. Be it resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Jelly. All in favor? That is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature tonight?
Your Worship, Councillor Jesse Foley declared a conflict of pecuniary interest from the August 11th, 2020 regular council meeting, Section 15, New Business, Item C, regarding memo number 014-2020 CS regarding the clerk designation for civil marriage, as Kelly Conlin is his sister and was the person receiving the designation.
Thank you very much. Any other declaration of pecuniary interest tonight? So if not, we'll move on to item number 6, the review and adoption of the council minutes. And I have a motion, be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council was held on August the 11th, 2020. So moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor MacArthur. All in favor? That is carried. There are no public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, or other statutes. We reached the first question and answer period. Anybody from the chat box, any questions tonight? 0 at this point. Any questions of the council at this point? Thanks, Shelley. So, any questions from council at this point? Or we can deal with them later. So, if not, we have a presentation tonight, and I want to welcome the chairman of the board of directors, Doug Walsh, to make an introduction here, and we'll carry on with the presentation. Welcome, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Mayor Kidd and members of council. It gives me great pleasure as the chair of the board of the governors of Northern College to initially welcome Dr. Penner as the president of Northern College, recently appointed. And I can tell you that Dr. Penner is a planner and a doer. She's on her 28th day with the college in that position. On day 4, she sent me a list of things she wanted to accomplish by day 30, 60, and 90. Tonight's meeting is well into day 50. So she's knocked off quite a list. And as I say, she is a planner, and tonight she is going to share some information with you with regards to what Northern College has planned. Dr. Penner.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Mayor Kidd and councillors. Thank you very much for inviting me here. I think I invited myself, so I'm glad that you were willing to have me. I think it's important now. We're going to just move forward with the which? Okay, there we go. What I want to do tonight is share a little bit with you around what's going to be taking place at Northern College and get your feedback on some things as well. If not tonight, we've got an opportunity for you to give feedback to us in an online way. And recognizing that there's a 108-year history of the Haileybury School of Mines, which is certainly something to be proud of. And the constant presence in the Tri-Town area throughout the institution's 53-year history. We're extremely proud of what we do here at Haileybury. Now, under my leadership, I did want to clarify, I have been at the college for about 6 years. I was Vice President Academic and Student Success, so I had the opportunity to actually be here quite a bit and loved it. I was just saying to the mayor that I would sit in the cafeteria in the Haileybury campus, and I'd look out and I think, how can anybody get any work done looking at this beautiful scenery, and likewise here at your council chambers. So anyway, it's a beautiful spot. I have with me Doug Walsh, who's the chairman of our board, and he introduced me very kindly. And I also have Tammy Mackey here, whom I'm sure you know, who is our campus manager at Haileybury and oversees the daily operations of the campus, and also our gentle reopening in the COVID crisis too. So let's talk about Northern College's vision and mission. We're guided by our mission and our vision, and it's success for all through learning and partnerships while excelling in quality, accessible programs, services, and partnerships for the benefit of Northern communities. northern communities that we all love and cherish. The path forward, 2021 and beyond, is critical. I think there's a bit of a turning point in post-secondary education. There's a lot of opportunities, and I do want to acknowledge the opportunities. There's going to be increased demand for skilled tradespeople and talent. We cannot underestimate the upskilling that's going to be required. The digital path forward, COVID has done one thing. It's reinforced my belief that we have to digitize an awful lot of our learning and do it at a high quality. We're going to have increasing global impact, but we're also going to see some global reversal of patterns too, so we have to be well aware of that. There's a very dynamic post-secondary landscape. We have an existing government who wants to see change and wants to update things, and we applaud them for that. So we're broadening recruitment efforts. You're going to see more international students at more of our campus. You're going to see more of an effort put on domestic recruitment. And we're following data decision making, and in this day and age, the data that we have available is far better quality and far better quantity. Challenges, COVID-19, and I think everyone is wondering, scratching their heads, what are we going to do after COVID-19? We've actually put together a small task force at the college to look at COVID-19 impacts post-COVID. And we're not the only post-secondary institution. All of us are facing that, so it's not unique, and we try to share best practices where we can. We do see a declining domestic enrollment. We see a declining population in general, and evolving student needs. We have more and more students that want to learn digitally but perhaps don't have the skills to do it. Credentialing that we're looking at. So a bit of a glance at the campus. Our total enrollment in 2015 going down to 2019. You'll see it's remained in the 300s. It's fluctuated a little bit up and down, and you'll see the total employee count again fluctuating a bit up and down depending on programming and what we're doing at the campus and what we're renovating. So overall, a very, very stable, or what we would view as a very, very stable campus. And I thought it would be good to look at the various statistics for the programs too, and you can look at these at your leisure as well. But notice we're really doing quite a bit of growth in our business programming, a lot of growth in our health science and emergency services, and we will continue to see growth there. Somewhat stable in community services, and a little bit of a decline in our vet sciences, and a little bit of a decline in our engineering, tech, and trades. Those tend to be cyclical, and with the skills that are required in the future, I think you will see that that will change. And we are looking at some new programming as well that will be offered. But our academic goals, our academic plan and goals, I wanted to highlight that as well. We have an inaugural academic plan that we have just launched. You can certainly visit it on our website, and I have a few copies with me tonight if anybody would like some. And this is the roadmap for what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Now, a roadmap is just that. It tells you how to get there, but it doesn't necessarily explain everything you do when you are actually arrive. So this is a really tricky clicker.
It's very sensitive.
Okay. So student success, #1 priority within our academic plan, and we are looking at how to tailor that success through inviting and responsive proactive approaches. We have something called Arrive and Thrive, which is part of that whole student success strategy, utilizing technology to give in time, on time to meet student needs, trying to anticipate the needs before they even know they have them. So technology is a really big, big part of that. We're going to utilize, in the learning goals, utilize universal design for learning, and that's the principles of using very flexible delivery options to meet the broad needs of learners. So think of it like a big net. You have the average learner kind of in the middle, but this big net is supposed to incorporate the learner that struggles with reading, or the learner that struggles with hearing, or the learner that struggles with comprehension. So we can do things in a way that best meets the access of students. Our current validated curriculum will focus on experiential learning, and that's our word for saying work while you learn. So do things that apply to your field and actually do hands-on with the industry. And we want to deliver programs within the context of our unique circumstances in the North. When we did our outreach to get our feedback from faculty and staff about our academic plan, this came through time and again. We have to remember where we are. We are in the North. There are things that are wonderful and unique about us, and we cannot forget our roots. So the principles for learning design, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this unless that people are interested in it. Again, universal design for learning is about creating expert learners and it's intentional and proactive with the learners. Again, going back to access so that every student can succeed. And incorporating authentic assessment as a quality measure of learning. And by that we mean, let's actually have the people demonstrate what they do. Paper and pen tests work, but not as well as clearly showing what you've learned. So if you're taking vet sciences, show us how you know how to look after an animal, how you help them get sedated. Those are the kinds of things we want people to understand is important about learning. And we're going to be adapting our UDL model to distance, online, and modular delivery models. So we are looking at greater flexibility within our program delivery. A third portion of our academic plan is educating the educators. We need to establish a culture of progressive learning. We have wonderful faculty. We have the best faculty in the province. They are absolutely great. They're faced with some challenges too. Their world has been turned upside down. We need to invest back in them. We need to develop sustainable practices for program delivery, and digital competency has to be supported and developed. Every one of our faculty should be at a high level of digital competence. We're going to encourage mentorship and support and allow faculty to define their own professional development. So we believe in strategy through participation. As Northern College moves into the next decade, we'll be looking to the students and their communities like you for guidance on key strategic areas. And like now, I'd like to launch, today we actually launched our strategic planning process. And a strategic plan is your guidepost. That's what helps your organization become accountable. That's what helps you set direction and really achieve your goals. So strategic planning is a key part of what we're doing. And launch today, okay. Launch today, we would like to hear from you. It's our intent to request feedback and insight from students, graduates, organizations, partners, employers, board members, councils, committees, individuals, and communities Northern College impacts through its post-secondary contract training, academic upgrading, and employment services. This is your college in your community. We need to hear from you. And so we're looking a very aggressive timeline for this because the world is changing so rapidly. We were looking for feedback that will be asked from today through to October the 1st in an online forum, but we have other mechanisms we can gather it if you prefer. You're encouraged to participate in ongoing discussions, and I will tell you on our website, there's a big orange banner on the homepage that says click here and you can give your input, but I will also mail to your clerk the actual link that perhaps you can distribute to everybody. We launched it this morning. We had 61 responses within the first hour and a half, and we're pushing it out to all our communities. There are multiple ways to provide your ideas, so if you have a thought, you pick up the phone, you call us, you send it in writing, you do the survey, you can go through our social media channels to add additional input. And insights provided will serve as guidance for our strategic planning. We are a little bit behind given COVID-19 and our previous president's retirement. So this kind of activity we probably would have started in January of 2020. So this is part of the reason for the aggressive timeline on it, but also because things are changing so quickly. We can't afford to take a year to figure out what we need to do next. So the answers and the input will be kept anonymous, so whatever anybody says, that's going to be part of a larger picture. And goal setting will be a key part of our accountability framework. So for example, if we set an objective in program development, we're also going to set targets. In year 1, we will do this. In year 2, we will do this. In year 3, we will do this. So that you as the public know where we're going as an institution. And again, it's your college, in your community. We need to hear what the public needs to have done within that college. So that's about it for my rush presentation. I talk very fast, especially when I'm passionate about something. If there's anything that you have any questions about, I'm happy to take, Mayor Kidd, if I can take a few minutes to answer questions,
sure.
I'm happy to. And if nobody has any questions, I'm happy to look later if people send me something.
Questions, Councillor MacArthur?
Yes, and welcome to our area. And I know you're going to have yourself a good time in the other campuses as well. I just wanted to touch on the broadening recruitment efforts. Mm-hmm. We know that the Hillbury campus has had international students coming for years and getting very well educated in the mining business. But right now, Do you think that it would be wise to encourage more recruitment outside of Canada when you have so many folks that are going to be looking for jobs not just Ontario, but all throughout Canada, that need to go down a different avenue and get educated? And I just hope that there's going to be enough room for folks that are going to have to come to Northern College, or for that matter, any other college or university.
Yep.
I'm not against international students, but maybe we should have an opportunity to help our own folks first, if that's the way I could word it.
No, that's a really, really good question, Councillor MacArthur. And I would be remiss if I didn't say how much our Board of Governors also reinforces the need for us to capture is the wrong word, to encourage domestic students to come to our college. And we do have to do more on the domestic front, no question about that. The international piece is part of a larger strategy around retention and immigration pilots as well, which is also needed in the region because our population is going down. But we're not unaware of that. We really, really need to do more with domestic enrollment. No question. I do think there is going to be a bubble of very rich employment opportunities coming down the pike fairly soon. I know we're going to suffer for a while, but that bubble is going to burst and we'll be moving on to a lot of opportunities. And the jobs will be different. We're chasing Industry 4.0. The jobs will be very different. Yeah.
Councillor Ferrier?
Sure, thanks, Your Worship. Dr. Penner, just on behalf of the Library Board, I just, looking at your vision and your values and really focusing on the community and partnerships, we really appreciate the partnership that you've provided, to our library and providing services to our ratepayers. It really is a value, to us and to the ratepayers. We really appreciate that. It really allows us to be much more efficient and allows us to move forward. So we appreciate that, and anything we can do, I'll definitely be participating in your
Well, Councillor
survey as well.
Lapierre, that's music to my ears. I also spent part of today at the Temiskaming Hospital and touring and talking with the CEO there, Mike Baker, about the importance of institutions that are large employers in a community partnering, because what helps the community grow helps us grow too. So we have to take that responsibility very seriously. The library partnership is an example of that. And I do love collaborations and partnership. So if you've got some more ideas, happy to hear them.
Councillor Jelly?
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for your presentation. I'm certainly a fan of Northern. I had the pleasure of actually teaching criminal law for a semester after I retired. So that's why we have so many good police officers in the North.
Of course. That makes perfect sense.
Anyways, all I was going to say, and you did allude to it just in some of your closing remarks too, is I think we're going to see a whole new way of employment after COVID.
Yep.
If there is an after COVID, and I believe there will be. But I think our workforce and our work habits are going to be a lot different. And you alluded to the fact of tradespeople,
Yep.
and that's what we hear every day. People right now are crying for people to work.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a little disconnect there between what's reality and what's going to end pretty soon. And but I was really glad to hear you talking about trades, because I think that we are desperately in need of trades. Carpentry is a big one, mining, and like our mines are just going rampant here now. So I think the opportunity for Northern College is there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. So you must have taught with Vula, did you?
I did.
Yes,
Yeah, I taught.
wonderful
Yeah,
lady,
yeah.
wonderful
I was there the same time as Bill Deverell, and
Yes,
he
yes,
had taken somebody had taken a semester off, so
Yeah.
I went in for a semester.
And on that note, trades and apprenticeship, extremely important. We are looking at outlining a few more TDAs, which is our trades agreements that we have to have with the ministry, so we can offer a broader spectrum. And I think what we have to do is recognize we're doing it in a geographic area where the population is not as dense. So maybe we don't run this particular apprenticeship every year. Maybe we run it every 2 years because that meets the need. And we do a lot of work on labor force needs. And everyone is crying for trades. It's really important. And there again is something too, we have to partner with school systems to encourage them to, encourage kids to go into the trades. That was never something that was really promoted 15 years ago, and now That is the future. And you can be your own boss. Entrepreneurship, innovation, like those are coming out of the trades. And we have to support that.
I think a lot of it has to do that we as a society have to get back to reality too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you take a look at some of the things, the equipment that these people work with, it's extremely complex. It's very sophisticated. It's not just a hammer and nails anymore. So.
And that's what I was thinking, even the mining industry and the forestry are very technological now. There's a lot of equipment that they're using now that's never heard of 10 years ago. So.
Well, and just take, for example, in the mines, they're moving to automated equipment, which means we have to have programs that teach people how to look after battery-operated vehicles, how to look after self-driving vehicles. So we have to up our game in that, and the kind of systems analysis that you need to track this. You take our instrumentation program that we have here, there's a whole new level of learning.
And I assume you're consulting with all the people in the industry as well? Yes, yes, all the time. So, other questions?
And don't ask me to be an expert on that. My background is not that, but it is definitely, AI is the way of the future on a lot of these projects.
No, I rely on Brad for his technology for IT there, so. Just, Councillor Hewitt?
Yeah, thank you for that presentation. Appreciate that. I definitely support moving forward towards more apprentices and even that, beginning that apprentice, whereas, you know, primarily in the past, you would have your course of studies and then you would apprentice. Whereas moving forward, you can have that set up an apprenticeship, that partnership, and have that mentorship as well as your studies. So I think having that type of setup will definitely increase new recruitments for the area, especially in the trades. And there's so much more than just mining, forestry.
Exactly.
You know, I'm thinking, you know, green technology, innovation, sciences, tourism. There's so many that we can definitely tap into. And we have it all in the north. We're so blessed.
We are very blessed.
Yeah.
And Councillor Hewitt, you bring up a really, really good point, because apprenticeship is under reform under the current provincial government. We're not 100% sure what that's ultimately going to look like, but I think it's very important to hear back from the public on those kinds of things so that we can offer informed suggestions to the ministry as we go down this road. And there's a lot of different ways to do apprenticeship. We're looking at a couple of models too that are looking more in-house and mapping the work with the employer at a different level, and looking at a system to make sure people are tied so that even a tradesperson who is a shop of one could still link to an apprentice to help with the workload, whereas right now there's a bit of hesitancy to do that. So there are a couple of irons in the fire on it, but it's a really key issue to stay on top of.
Yeah, I love the model to have that mentorship and move right from the get-go. I think that builds leadership.
And the green technology, there's so much that we could do there.
Yes, I'll be putting some plugs into your survey for sure.
Councillor Foley?
Yeah. What if there was 391 students last year? What could Helleberry, could it handle 300 more students or 100 more? Or?
You could handle more students, but we'd also have to look at a different cycle. So, for example, the campus here does not have much activity in the spring semester, May, June, July, August. If we wanted to increase numbers, we would probably look at that semester. With our animal science programs, we are governed by a lot of animal care regulations, so that does sometimes limit the number of students we can have, and how long we can have. Like an 8-month window for the program might be as much as it'll be allowed. But there are opportunities for growth, for sure.
Just one question I got. We're looking forward to the future sort of thing in this presentation, but I just want to go back. Some of our residents may be curious to see what happens with the actual graduation this spring. I know they didn't actually have a formal graduation, but there was students that graduated, I'm sure.
Yeah, we didn't have a formal graduation. We had a virtual graduation, and I know Tammy was very much a part of that in terms of the design and the delivery of it. A little disappointing for some students who really wanted the physical. You know, times of need, you do things differently. We did issue to all students for this spring the opportunity to come back and physically enjoy the next graduation over the next 2 years. Just let us know if you want to come back and be recognized across the stage. The upside of it actually was for a lot of our students, and you have a lot in Haileybury, where they're coming from down south, so their family is like 6 to 8 hours away. And they actually could live stream this in a better way without, having to make the drive. So they were able to look at it and show it to relatives and things like that. So there are some advantages to it, but it is a hard thing. It was a hard thing for us to miss as well, because that's our Christmas. Graduation is our Christmas. That's when things are really unwrapped and let's celebrate.
Yeah, I've attended a number of the open houses there, and the people drive from a long ways away. They're 10, 12 hours getting here.
Yeah.
So it's great to have that kind of attraction to this area there. So I appreciate that. And I do appreciate you coming down and making the presentation.
Thank you so much.
We'll make sure we make
I really
comments back.
appreciate it.
So.
And as I said, if you want to go on our webpage, you'll see a big orange banner on the homepage that says click here, and you can give us feedback on our strategic plan. But I will also send the link to your clerk, so you'll have it, Carmen. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Gary.
I'll give you a chance
Thank
to
you very
drive
much.
home in the light there as well there. And so thank you very much. So, okay.
Yes, I
So-
don't want to hit loose on the way.
So, thanks, Doug, Tammy, appreciate that as well. So we'll carry on with our meeting. The communications, I just want to bring up a couple things that we are open to the public tonight. We do have people in the audience as well, and we are broadcasting this on the YouTube and Facebook page as well. So people that do want to take into the whole process here, they can listen in online there as well. And we are all wearing face masks. We're back to the original conformity here with our council meetings, and other than we are still live streaming, so that's good. So, other communications, 10A is a letter from Sheila Olin McLean from CUPE. It's regarding the 20th Annual Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day, received on July the 15th, for our information. 10B is a letter from Robert Baker, the Management Forester for the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, regarding the application of herbicides in Temiskaming Management Unit, and that was received on July the 15th. That's received for our information. 10C is a letter from Julia Dennis, the Director of Intergovernmental Policy for the Ministry of Infrastructure, and it's regarding investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, the Community Cultural and Recreation Stream, and that was received on August the 7th. 10D is a letter from Barbara Madigan, Deputy Clerk Treasurer for the Township of Matachewan, regarding support for the high-speed internet connectivity in rural Ontario, received on August the 7th for information. 10E is a letter from Angela Latrenta, the Acting Director of Safety Program Development Branch for the Ministry of Transportation, regarding the new framework for school bus stop arm camera programs for 2020. That's received for our information. 10F is a letter from Richard Stubbings, the Assistant Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Solicitor General, regarding the court security and prisoner transportation, received on August the 10th. So that's good news for our area there as well. So. 10G is a letter from Steve Clark, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, regarding the Federal Provincial Safe Restart Agreement, received on August the 12th, and there's a motion presented under new business there. 10H is a letter from Carolyn Mulrooney, the Minister of Transportation, regarding the Federal Provincial Safe Restart Agreement, and there's a motion presented under new business for that. 10I is a letter from John Mark Borlow, the Mayor of the Township of Armstrong, regarding support for the Earl Regional Airport COVID-19, received on August the 12th for information. 10J is a letter from Katie O'Connell, the Acting Manager for the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, regarding resuming the aggregate application timelines and public consultation under the Aggregate Resources Act, received on August the 19th. 10K is a letter from Danny Whalen, our President of the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities. It's a media release regarding the Association of Municipalities of Ontario 2020 conference. That's received for information. 10L is a letter from David DeGus, the Manager for Timber Allocations and Licensing Section for the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and it's regarding the proposal to establish a local forest management corporation. That was received on 8/21. And just want to make a note here that the John Kenrick and Jeff Barton are going to be here in 2 weeks' time to make a presentation on this local forest management company, so there'll be more information out in your next package on that.
I missed that.
10M is a letter from Christine Elliott, the Deputy Premier and Ministry of Health, regarding one-time funding for the Temiskaming Board of Health. So that's funding that I'll see, hopefully see us not having any increase in cost from the Temiskaming Health Unit for 2020. And lastly, 10N is a letter from Lindsay Glazier, the Administrative Assistant for the Municipality of West Grey, regarding support for anti-racism resolution. That's received for our information. So I got a motion to be resolved. The City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10N according to the agenda references. Moving second, Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor Foley. Any comments? Yes, Mike McCarthy first. Councilor.
Yes, when it comes to 10E, this is to do with the Ministry of Transportation, a new framework for school bus stop arm camera programs. I was wondering if I could get that information to the committee for us to take a look at it next time we have a transit meeting. I think it might be beneficial. We'll have to see what it costs and more details. If that's not that, I'm not asking for it to come back to council, just to send it along to the transit.
So you want whatever information the clerk has on that, pass it on to you for the transit committee? Okay, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Jelly?
Thank you, Your Worship. Item A, Sheila Olin McLean on the Early Childhood Worker Education Appreciation Day. I believe that's scheduled for October 22nd, if I read that correctly. That possibly come back so they can have our support. Also, I will ask that item E and item F both be put on the next Police Services Board meeting for information. That's concerning the same that Councillor McCarthy was talking about, and the other one is the court security and prisoner transportation. And the other question I had is item I, the letter from Jean-Marc Boileau. And Your Worship, you can probably answer this better than me. Should we be bringing that back to support Mr. Boileau's endeavors?
What we ran into the problem there was that the two employees that we have with the airport are actually still employees of the Township of Armstrong. And yet now we're slowly transferring it over to the airport authority. So we'll soon take over the payroll, we'll soon take over the OMERS and that sort of thing through the airport authority. Now, I think that sort of limited the Township of Armstrong to actually apply for any funding from these government programs. Okay. So this is what they're trying to force the government into, maybe looking at airports and seeing how they handle that, because I mean, we're probably a little different than most airports. We are just sort of switching over from that payroll from Armstrong to the airport authority. But, I mean, we've applied to FedNor for the RRF funding, and we're still waiting to hear back from them where they're going to get some support funding from FedNor as well. So we should know that in the next few weeks, I would think. So.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy with that answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other, Councillor Hewitt?
Yeah, just in regards to item B with Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry from Robert Baker in regards to the applications of herbicides in Temiskaming Management Area Unit. I would hope that we would encourage that perhaps that they can have aerial spraying, not necessarily in the peak of tourism. I know in this letter it says on or before July 15th. And, you know, that's a large area where we have a lot of tourists come in at that time. So I'm hoping that we can reach out to Robert Baker and perhaps encourage either an earlier start or a later start to that aerial spraying needed.
Yeah, I think with all the forest fires that we had, they're now at the point now where they're trying to spray and look after some of the weeds that are starting to grow and give the new seedlings a chance to grow there on all those burnt out areas there. So I think I doubt very much that they'll get very close to any habitation or any camps or anything. They'll be looking at just the forest areas themselves. But.
Yeah, I definitely know that we had individuals from Aurelia that ended up vacating and this is more the Montreal area river. That was last year, but they definitely had to vacate because it was so strong they couldn't even reside at their own personal cottage. So certainly it should be a consideration moving forward.
Okay. You know, I've got lots of contacts now with the MNRF there that I can chat with them about that as well. So. Okay. Any other comments about the correspondence? Got a motion. All in favor of that motion? That is carried. Committees of Council, Community and Regional. I got a motion. Be resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the City of Temiskaming Shores Committee of Adjustment meetings held on November the 27th and July the 15th, 2020. And B, the minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board meetings held on February the 19th, April the 22nd, and May the 7th, as well as the minutes of the Temiskaming Transit Committee meeting held on August 6th, 2020. So, for mover and second to that motion, Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Foley. Any comments on those 3 sets of minutes? Actually 6 or 7 actually, but so all in favor? That is carried. Item number 12, the committees of council, the internal departments, and I got a motion be resolved the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee being held on August 6, 2020. Mover and seconder for that motion, Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Jelly. So, comments on those minutes? All in favor? That is carried. Reports by members of council, and Councillor Whalen did do a written report for the 2020 AMO virtual conference, and there's a 3 or 4 page report on that. Everybody's had a chance to read that. Any other reports by members of council? Councillor MacArthur.
Yes, Mayor Kidd. Yesterday was a real special day for myself, along with Councillor Foley and, of course, the mayor, as we met with the 100 Women Who Care, and the Rotary Splash Pad is now $10,600 more toward it. It was, what a nice gift, great presentation. We were there with staff, Matt was there, and people from the 100 Women, and $492,600. Our goal is $522,000. So we're creeping up. We want to get this splash pad up and running by hopefully July 1st next year. But I again want to thank the Rotary Club who has really worked hard, and of course staff. And this is going to happen. I know it will happen. But a lot of people working behind the scenes. So it was so nice to see an encouragement, and we thank those ladies for their donation.
Thank you, sir. Any other reports by members of council tonight? I did have the pleasure of hosting a funding announcement on Friday. We actually had MP Anthony Rhoda on the teleconference, as well as MP Mark Seri and MPP Vic Fidelli were making these announcements, and it actually delivered the 10-year funding for our transit system, and it worked out to about $1.25 million from the federal government, just over $1 million from the provincial government over the next 10 years. So that covers the cost of 5 new buses over the next 10 years, as well as some bus shelters and some of the technology that we need to sort of track the traffic coming in and off our buses there, and their actual routes that they travel there. So that was good news. It was good funding, and they also announced funding for the Larose Bridge in Coleman Township as well. So that's giving them money to replace that bridge. So that was an interesting video conference, and it went very well actually. Thanks to Brad for all the technology there, and we had opened up to the press to join us as well. So moving on, any notice of motions tonight? Moving into the new business. 15A is the Federal Provincial Safe Restart Agreement for the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And I got a motion be resolved that Council of the State of Temiskaming Shores hereby directs the Municipal Treasurer to sign and submit the acknowledgement for the allocation of the municipal operating funding, Phase 1, in the amount of $586,500 under the COVID-19 Safe Restart Agreement to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. So, moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Hewitt. So, any comments? So, we'll have to track our expenses there and see what we can put in for claims in that particular one. So, all in favor of that motion? That is carried. 15B, the Federal Provincial Safe Restart Agreement for the Ministry of Transportation. And the motion reads, be it resolved that the Council of the State of Temiskaming Shores hereby directs the Municipal Treasurer to sign and submit the acknowledgement for the allocation of public transit funding, Phase 1, in the amount of $121,526 under the COVID-19 Safe Restart Agreement to the Ministry of Transportation. So, moving to the second of that, Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Foley. Any questions, comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15C is the January to August 2020 year-to-date capital financial report. And the motion reads, be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of the January to August 2020 year-to-date capital financial report for information purposes. So, moved by Councillor Jelly, then by Councillor Foley. Any comments on the progress so far? Councillor Jelly.
No real comment, other than it does appear that we're in reasonably good shape for this time of year, so our staff are really commended for that.
Thank you, sir. So, all in favor of that motion? That is carried. 15D is Memo 2020-0015CS, the appointment of bylaw officer. And I got a motion to be resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo CS 015-2020, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to appoint Mr. Clayton Seymour as a municipal law enforcement officer for consideration at this September 1st, 2020 regular meeting. So, moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Foley. Any comments? Councillor Jelly?
Yes, I'm assuming a part of this will involve traffic or parking authority. Well, my question then is, how are we going to have these people identified while they're on the street? You know, I'm a strong believer in having somebody identified. If they're going to come up and put a ticket on my car, I would like to know that they at least have the authority somehow. I know we've discussed this before, and I believe our previous bylaw officer did wear some type of a uniform. I'm not necessarily saying a uniform, but there should be a jacket or something that's worn to identify them as an employee of the city and as an authorized bylaw officer. It's just an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
I know Clayton does have shirts for his other building inspector job now, so I'm assuming we'll probably end up with the same thing, I would think, Chris.
He won't be wearing those outside for too much longer. Hopefully he has a jacket too, that's all.
He'll be wearing a Temiskaming Shores mask.
Yeah, okay, Chris says we'll look after that, make sure they got appropriate wear. Any other comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15E is Memo 2020-016CS, the deeming bylaw for Friends of the Hillbury Fire Museum, operated as the Hillbury Heritage Museum. And I got a motion, whereas the owners of parcel numbers, a whole whack of numbers, would like to merge lots on title through the adoption of a deeming bylaw in compliance with the Planning Act in order to create one property with one roll number. And whereas the owners have acknowledged that registration of the pending deeming bylaw on title will be at their expense. Now therefore be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to deem lots 49 to 62 and lots 222 to 225 on Plan M73NB to no longer be lots on a plan of subdivision, and the Council agrees to remove the restrictive covenants for lots 51, 52, 53, 61, and 62 on Plan M73NB. And further, the Council hereby directs staff to prepare the necessary deeming bylaw for consideration of the September 1st, 2020 regular Council meeting. Moved by Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor MacArthur. All in favor? That is carried. 15F was Administrative Report CS 033-2020, the land sale of a portion of Lorraine Avenue. And I got a motion to be resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 033-2020, and that Council directs staff to continue with the disposition of a portion of Lorraine Avenue in accordance with Bylaw 2015-160 by preparing the necessary bylaws to stop up and close a highway portion of Lorraine Avenue, and to enter into an agreement of purchase and sale with Cobalt Camp Refinery Limited, a subsidiary of First Cobalt Corporation, for municipal real property for consideration at the September 1st, 2020 regular Council meeting. So, Councillor Jelly moved that, seconded by Councillor Hewitt. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15G is Administrative Report CS 034-2020, the Snow Travelers Lease Agreement. And I got a motion to be resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 034-2020, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to renew the lease agreement with the Tri-Town Snow Travelers for the lease of lands and premises for a period of 5 years for consideration at the September 1st, 2020 regular Council meeting. So, moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Foley. comments? All in favor? That is carried. 15H is Administrative Report PPP 009-2020, the appointment of a volunteer captain. And I'm pleased to say that be it resolved that the Council for the City of Twin Shores acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PPP 009-2020. The Council hereby appoints Richard Shaver as a volunteer captain to the Twin Shores Fire Departments in accordance with the volunteer firefighter hiring and promotional policy. So, moved by Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor Jelly. All in favor? That is carried. 15I, Memo 011-2020 RS, the Horn Granite Center use agreement for the Fall Fairgrounds, and I got a motion to be resolved the Council for the City of Twin Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 011-2020 RS, and that Council direct staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Horn Granite Center for the use of the Fall Fairgrounds for consideration of the September 1st, 2020 regular council meeting. So, mover seconder, Councilor Foley, second by Councilor MacArthur. All in favor? That is carried. That's all the new business. Bylaws. I got a motion be resolved that bylaw 2020-090, being a bylaw to appoint a municipal law enforcement officer, being Clayton Seymour. Bylaw 2020-091, being a bylaw to designate any plan of subdivision or part thereof that has been registered for 8 years or more, which shall be deemed as not a registered plan of subdivision for 575 Main Street, and all the roll numbers beside that. Bylaw 2020-092, being a bylaw to stop up and close a highway, a portion of Lorraine Avenue, being Part 1 on Plan 54R6162. Bylaw 2020-093, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of land to Cobalt Camp Refinery Limited, being Part 1 on Plan 54R6162. Bylaw 2020-094, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1335, the lease agreement renewal with the Tri-Town Snow Travelers in the Diamond Industrial Park. And bylaw 2020-095, being a bylaw to enter in an agreement with the Horn Granite Center for the temporary use of municipal properties and facilities. These bylaws be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. So, moved by Councilor Ferrier, second by Councilor Jelly. Any comments on these bylaws? All in favor? That is carried. And motion be resolved that bylaw 2020-090, 091, 092, 093, 094, and 095 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the clerk will seal affixed thereto. Moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Foley. All in favor? That is carried. Schedule of meetings. The next meeting is a regular meeting of council set up for Tuesday, September the 15th. And the first meeting in October will be Tuesday, October the 6th, 2020. So, second question and answer period. Any questions from the chat box at all? Shelley? Or...
Nothing here, Mayor.
Oh, okay. Yes, from the audience. Welcome, sir.
I was reading that they're thinking of eliminating the one on Meridian Street and the one on Morset. And I'm wondering what kind of impact that would have on the children going to play soccer, ball, and then the seniors going to the medical center on Meridian Street.
So I didn't catch the first of your comment, sorry.
I'm wondering of the impact that will happen for the ball players and soccer players that stop off on Morset Drive bus stop, and then what would happen to the seniors that get off on Meridian for the medical clinic if those two sites are eliminated as bus stops.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I don't know whether Chris or Mike is transit committee. So Chris?
So so the transit committee at the last meeting, when they looked at the embarking and disembarking numbers for those two stops, it the ridership, the use at those stops was not very high. So one of the things that the committee discussed was trying to get the transit system on track. So one of the things we find is with increased ridership, we are experiencing delays, and so we need to look at ways to try and get the bus back on a schedule, on the proper schedule, so we can maintain that hourly service. So it will require an additional block or two for people to walk to get to the next bus stop. And so the committee realizes that is some inconvenience, but given the numbers for those two stops, they decided, so that was the rationale of looking at where we could eliminate stops to improve the time for the transit system.
Would it not be possible to take the bus down Morset and then over to Meridian?
So I believe what we're looking at...
Eliminating it going down Joel.
So right now, what I believe what we're looking at doing is going down Morset to Georgina, and Georgina all the way through to Amwell Street, and then up Amwell Street, and then down towards the college. So using it as, that would be the loop. So the Joyelle Street would be eliminated, and it would require some additional walking for some of the residents. That's not finalized yet, so we are going to be going out for some public consultation, but that was a recommendation from the Transit Committee to look at that sort of scenario where we would try and improve the timing of the transit system.
I'm just worried about the seniors that may have trouble walking just that block. Is there a time or a place where these comments can be delivered?
Kelly, did we set a time yet? So sorry, Rob, I wasn't prepared for the question, so... we did discuss some timing for public consultation, but Kelly is the secretary of the Transit Committee. Do you remember what we discussed for timing?
So we just are working on the development of the online portion so we can get it online so more people can participate. And once we have that up, I mean, we had talked about keeping the time period open for a few weeks to get the feedback from riders and anybody that would have any input. We just need to get it up online, and then it'll be ready to go, and we'll advertise that.
Well, thanks, Rob, because it's good that we start talking about it now, because it's about getting these are just some ideas that the Transit Committee has, and we want to get some feedback, but one of our problems is trying to keep the transit running on time, and so looking at where we can find some efficiencies there. So.
And those announcements will be in the city bulletin.
And on the website.
Maybe perhaps the speaker can do a column on it. Short one.
So it'll be on our Facebook page there as well. So.
And have another question.
Sure.
Will the city be sending a letter to the Temiskaming Council asking them to perhaps put off their spraying of their lands after the tour season?
I mean, I can definitely talk to the M&R people and chat with them and see what their time frame is. So that's no problem. I can do that for sure, Rob. Yep.
Yeah. Would we be better to, not better, but, and also send something to the Temiskaming Council?
Yeah, I don't know whether they have any real input when the actual spraying is done. I mean, they've been notified the same as we would be as a municipality, so I think we're probably better if I can go directly to the M&R and
send
just,
both or many would be optimal. Sending both.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Many would be optimal.
Yeah. No, I can do that. Councilor Jelly.
Given light of the concerns about that, and I certainly understand the concerns, Mayor Kidd, you said you could speak to them. Could you do that and get back to council with that, so we can find out whether we're happy with their response or want to push it a little bit further?
Yeah, I can contact them tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Any other questions at this point? If not, we've got a closed session coming up. I got a motion be it resolved the council agrees to convene in closed session at 7:05, I guess. So to deal with the following matters: A, the adoption of the June 16, 2020 closed session minutes, and B, under section 239(2)D of the Municipal Act 2001 Labor Relations or Employee Negotiation for a job description review, and C, under section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act, consideration will be given to a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations for the Nilisquid Marina. So we're moving a second there for that motion. Moved by Councilor Foley, second by Councilor MacArthur. All in favor? We are adjourned for the next 10 minutes, and we'll go into a closed session. So.